Have you ever carried a secret so heavy that you swore you would take it to your grave? Some secrets are small and almost harmless, but others can destroy lives. And sometimes, the truth we bury is powerful enough to shake an entire nation. And this is the story of one such secret, hidden beneath the grounds of a place believed to be holy, a place thought to be peaceful, but where one man claims he saw something closer to hell. This is the Dharmasthala burial case. So lately, I've been getting absolutely flooded with spam emails, like not the usual junk folder stuff, but weird, persistent spam that shows up across different email accounts every single day. And it's not just annoying anymore, it's actually starting to mess with my entire workflow. I run everything through email, story tips, agent communication, my staff, brand deals, everything. And now I find myself wasting time digging through all this garbage just to find the one real message I need. And that's when I found out about data brokers. These companies collect your personal info, emails, phone numbers, even addresses, and sell them. And that is how all these spammers are finding me. So I started using Aura, today's sponsor. Aura finds those data broker sites and automatically requests removal of your info, like all of it. It's not something I could have realistically done myself, but now I get updates from Aura showing where my data was found and what was removed, and I immediately noticed a drop in those sketchy emails. But Aura isn't just for spam cleanup. It also has tools like identity theft alerts, credit monitoring, VPN, antivirus, and a password manager, all in one app. And if something ever goes wrong, they have 24/7 support and $5 million in identity theft insurance. So if you're experiencing the same problem, try Aura free for 14 days at aura.com/darkasia. You might be shocked just how much of your info is actually out there, but don't worry, you are in safe hands with Aura. On July 3rd, 2025, in the temple town of Dharmastala, Karnataka, a 48-year-old Dalit sanitation worker walked into a police station with a secret he had carried for almost 20 years. He told officers that between 1995 and 2014, he was forced to get rid of bodies, hundreds of them. He said he buried them under temple grounds or along the riverbanks where nobody would ever look. At first, police thought he was making it up. It sounded too extreme, too outrageous. But then he said something that made them stop. "I can show you every single burial site." Now, Dharmasthala isn't just any place. It's known as the abode of righteousness, one of India's most respected pilgrimage centers. Politicians, celebrities, and thousands of worshippers go there every year. But what this man described had nothing to do with faith or devotion. He said the temple administration made him bury those bodies. Most were women. Some were dumped by the Netravati River, half-clothed or completely naked, with marks of strangulation, burns, and injuries around their neck and genitals. One memory still haunted him, a schoolgirl, maybe 12 years old. He remembered her small frame covered in bruises, part of her uniform still on, but her skirt and underwear gone. Her eyes were open, staring, even though she was long dead. He was told to bury her near a patrol bunk in Kelleri back in 2010. And he wasn't just burying her. He was told to bury her school bag too, books still inside. Another case he could never forget, a young woman whose face had been burned with acid. Her body was wrapped in newspaper, soaked in diesel, and set on fire before he was ordered to dig her grave. He said the smell of her burned flesh stayed with him, followed him into every dream. For almost 2 decades, he lived with those memories. Every night, he relived them, digging, burying, covering up, until finally he couldn't carry it anymore. And that's when he walked into the station, ready to tell the truth. When people asked him why he didn't just refuse, his answer was blunt. The men behind it told him if he disobeyed, he wouldn't just be killed, he'd be mutilated. He was terrified, so he kept his mouth shut, he kept digging, and he kept burying. That silence lasted until 2014, when the nightmare hit closer to home. He said a minor girl in his own family was allegedly targeted by someone linked to the very men who made him do the work. And that was it. He fled. For the next 10 years, he lived in hiding. He carried the guilt everywhere he went. He said he couldn't sleep without nightmares. Faces of the dead, the smell of soil, the weight of the school bag he once buried. But eventually, he couldn't carry it anymore. He knew if he just walked into a police station, empty-handed, they'd laugh at him, maybe even throw him out. So he went back to the sites where he remembered digging. He clawed at the dirt with his bare hands, trying to find proof. He said the soil still felt the same, heavy and damp. He snapped photos, as many as he could, before anyone noticed. Then he printed them. He wrote out everything he remembered, his testimony, every detail. He attached his Aadhaar card, an old employee ID, anything to prove he was real. And in that letter, one line stood out. If the bodies were left like this, their souls will never rest. That is all he wanted. Not revenge, not money. Just for the souls to find peace, and maybe for the guilt to finally loosen its grip on him. He admitted it might sound selfish, but for him, it was closure. The problem was, what he revealed pointed directly at powerful people, figures tied to the temple's administration. And that made the allegations explosive. To understand why, you have to know what Dharmasthala means to people. So this isn't just another temple town. Dharmasthala in Karnataka's Dakshina Kannada district literally means the abode of righteousness. It's seen as the embodiment of Dharma itself, a place of faith, purity, and humanity. For generations, people from all over India have traveled here to pray, to seek blessings, to find peace. Politicians, movie stars, even cricket legends have lined up at its shrines. What makes Dharmasthala unique is its leadership. The rituals are carried out by Hindu priests, but the temple administration is run by a Jain family, the Hegades. Today, it's overseen by Rajya Sabha MP Virendra Hegade, who holds enormous influence in the region. So for locals, Dharmasthala has always been seen as a symbol of peace, a place where you leave behind worldly concerns and focus only on God. That's the image. So when this horrific claim surfaced, people were stunned. Dharmasthala, the place everyone thought of as calm, holy, untouchable, was suddenly being described as a graveyard of secrets. A place where women were abused, murdered, and buried by people allegedly tied to the temple itself. And the biggest question everyone asking was, why bury them under temple grounds? Maybe because no one would ever suspect such a sacred place. Maybe because it guaranteed silence. Whatever the reason, the allegation was a bombshell, and it set off a storm of disbelief and outrage. The whistleblower never gave names. Well, not yet, but he made one thing clear. Someone with enough power to end his life was behind all this. He said he'd reveal the identities only if he got protection under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, the new criminal code that replaced the IPC. But that protection never came. Instead, officials brushed him off. Local leaders both publicly dismissed his story, calling the mass burial allegations baseless. They accused him of trying to tarnish the image of a holy place. One of them even said, "Everyone knows about the good work done in Dharmasthala. No one comes here without devotion. And if any such allegations exist, the government will investigate them immediately." But then, during the first excavations, skeletal remains were found, and suddenly, the doubts weren't so easy to wave away. That's when calls grew louder for an independent investigation. Locals, activists, even some politicians began saying the same thing. If the temple is this powerful, can the truth ever come out? And what about the man who spoke up? Would he be safe? As a precaution, the janitor went to his lawyer first, on July 3rd. By the next day, his lawyer confirmed something that might save him, or at least his story. He had handed over a sealed envelope to Supreme Court advocate KV Denanjay. Inside were the names of the accused. And that was his insurance policy. If anything happened to him, the truth would still get out. On July 4th, the Dakshina Kannada police officially registered the case, and a week later, on July 13th, the janitor walked into court and gave a statement. He even brought a human skull and handed over skeletal remains he said he'd exhumed as supposed proof. But he didn't come in like an ordinary witness. He came under heavy police protection, his entire body covered head to toe, only a small transparent strip over his eyes so he could see where he was walking. That's how real his fear was. Now police started connecting the dots, because the truth is, this wasn't the first time Dharmastala's peaceful image had been shadowed by dark allegations. Back in 2012, the rape and murder of 17-year-old Sojanya, a student in Dharmasthala, had already shocked the nation. Activists alleged from the start that there was a cover-up. Years later, her accused killer was acquitted. Many still believe the real story was buried with her. And in 2003, another case. A young woman named Ananya Bhatt went missing during a college trip. Her mother, Sujata, who is now 60 years old, says the janitor's testimony gave her sickening realization. Her daughter could be one of the unidentified victims. All she wants is to bring her daughter's remains home. But Sujata says when she first went to the police, they wouldn't even register her complaint. Instead, they smiled and told her maybe her daughter had just eloped. Imagine hearing that as a mother. Desperate, she tried approaching Hegade, the respected religious leader in the area, and his brother Kumar. But instead of compassion, she claims she was verbally abused and told to leave. Sujata has even offered to take a polygraph test and has challenged Hegade and Kumar to do the same, saying they may hold critical information. And she wasn't the only one. In the weeks that followed, more voices stepped forward. A social activist admitted that he had once witnessed a girl being buried about 15 years ago. He said he kept silent out of fear, but the memory stayed with him. He remembered her body, already decomposing in a horrifying state. He couldn't say if she had been killed near the temple or somewhere else. But his story added another layer of credibility to the janitor's claims. With these revelations spreading rapidly online, the pressure began to mount. Activists, lawyers, and families demanded more than just routine police work. They called for a higher-level special investigation team probe, not just into the mass burial allegations, but into decades of missing women, suspicious deaths, and ignored cases. On July 16th, a group of advocates met with Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. They demanded an SIT inquiry monitored by a retired judge with full transparency, video-recorded procedures, and the arrest of everyone involved, no matter how influential. Today, the investigation is still in its early stages. The whistleblower pointed the SIT to 13 potential burial sites. Some of them have already yielded results: human remains, scraps of clothing, fragments of lives erased. Meanwhile, locals keep talking about missing women, about families who never got answers, about secrets hidden for decades. But with powerful names hovering over the investigation, many are asking the same question. Will justice really come out this time? Or will the truth once again be buried? To push further, the SIT has now set up a hotline and temporary office in Mangaluru, urging anyone with information to step forward. Whether people will feel safe enough to speak is another question entirely. So, what really lies beneath the soil of Dharmasthala? Will the victims finally be given peace? Or will this case, like so many before it, be silenced by people who fear the truth? Because for a while, it looked like the story itself was being buried. Videos about the Dharmasthala mass burial started disappearing online. On July 18th, a Bengaluru court ordered more than 8,800 links to be taken down. That meant over 4,000 YouTube videos, thousands of Instagram posts, Reddit threads, or even news articles. Overnight, the case almost vanished from the internet. And this wasn't the first time people trying to speak out faced backlash. In February 2025, a YouTuber named Samir uploaded a 38-minute video revisiting the 2012 Sojanya rape and murder case. In that video, he went further, alleging that Hegade's own family was involved, and that the powerful religious leader himself controlled criminal activities in the temple town. The video exploded online, reaching nearly 10 million views in just a few weeks. But then came the consequences. Samir said he was being targeted because of his Muslim identity. Soon after, he was hit with legal trouble, accused of spreading misinformation. Just like that, one of the few videos openly challenging the narrative was pulled down. It seemed like every time someone asked the hard questions, their voice was erased. But then things shifted. The Karnataka High Court stepped in, saying the gag order went too far. And later, the Supreme Court also refused to block the media. So the ban was lifted and the story was back, at least for now. Because here's the thing, people are still left with fragments. Some are piecing together their own theories, others stay completely silent, out of fear. Not just fear of persecution, but fear of prosecution under misinformation laws. And maybe that's the real question. If these theories are true, it's not just about the mystery of mass burials anymore. It's about power and whether anyone can stand up to it. And local officials, of course, have pushed back. Some insist the skeletal remains could be just villagers' graves, ordinary burials, nothing sinister. So the latest update on this case is this. The masked whistleblower has been unmasked as CN Chinaya, a former sanitation worker. But according to the special investigation team, his entire story has unraveled. They claim Chinaya confessed after his arrest that the skull was fake, the bones he handed over were really lab specimens, and his tales of hundreds of secret burials, women and children among them, were fabricated. Investigators say he admitted he did it all for money. Also, they said 2 weeks of excavation at the sites he identified produced only fragments, nothing close to mass graves. They said the remains that did surface were identified as male, contradicting his original stories. On August 23, 2025, he was arrested on charges of perjury and creating false evidence. And now, adding to the shock, Sujata Bhatt, who claimed her daughter was raped in Dharmasthala, was found to have no daughter at all. The girl she mentioned, Ananya, was actually her friend's child, said to have gone missing during their visit. Whether Ananya truly disappeared is still under investigation, but what's clear is she was never Sujata's daughter. She said she had lied about it because circumstances had forced her to. To the authorities, this proves the narrative was false. Now, was he a liar all along? Honestly, we can't say for sure because his story was incredibly risky. If he knew he was taking on one of the most powerful families in Karnataka, would he really do it just for a payout? That seems almost too simple. Or does this convenient narrative itself serve another purpose, to destroy a man's credibility and bury the story along with him? Meanwhile, politics are heating up. The BJP condemned the episode as an attempt to defame a Hindu temple and demanded the case to go to the NIA. The state government, meanwhile, backs the temple authorities, insisting the SIT is conducting a fair and unbiased probe. And of course, we all hope that's really the case. So was Chinaya really lying for money and attention? Or was he silenced because he dared to challenge the powerful? Until the full forensic results are made public, the truth about Dharmasthala lingers in the shadows, caught between exposure and suppression, between what is claimed and what might never be told. But what do you think? Could the 2003 disappearance, the 2012 murder, and this current investigation all be connected? Threads of the same dark web that's only now being pulled into the light. So let me know your theories down in the comments. This case is still in its early stages, and if more revelations surface, I'll be back with part 2. Because if these allegations turn out to be true, the temple's shadow may be longer and darker than anyone ever imagined. That is all for today. Thank you for watching.